And we're live.
Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr. for a segment of Ask Junior. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We've been sitting here talking today about all that we experienced this past weekend in Atlanta and also looking forward. Today's show was really, really good. And so, anyways, I want to thank Xfinity for everything they do for us here at the Dale Jr. Download and for Dirty Mo Media. They're big supporters of us. Their 10G network that came out earlier this year is incredible. And you guys have been sending some great questions in to @Xfinity Racing on Twitter. And we appreciate the engagement. Xfinity does as well, so we'll thank you for them. Andrew's here with all your questions, so we'll get started.
Yeah, we got a good first one from Andrea. You know, you make a few appearances in the Cars movie. Do your daughters notice that it's your voice, or like, do you point that out if you've ever watched it with them?
I have, and I'm not sure that they get it. You know what? Of course they don't. But Isla is 5, and she recognizes my voice. I can point at a die cast. And if it's got an 8 and 88 on it, she'll assume it's mine. So when I show her the car in the movie, she goes, "Yeah, that's your car and that's your voice." But she doesn't know what being in a movie or doing a voiceover is all about. Which one day I hope she gets it. But man, when I went out there I went to their studio out in California to record that. I'll never forget that. The studio that produced that movie, what's it called?
Pixar.
Yeah, so we go to their office, giant building, all glass, huge, tall ceilings, big lobby, and we walked through this lobby into this sort of into this big giant. It was almost like a warehouse, right? Big rafters, steel rafters, but this warehouse was full of these little mobile or huts, and those were individual offices and workspaces, and all of them were different, and all of them were self-designed, and when you went inside each one, they took us into a couple of the designers and writers and so forth. I mean, it's writers, designers, animators, whatever. I don't know what you call these people. But the people that work on these movies, right, there's so many jobs to create this product. And they all have these little cubicles or these little buildings and huts. It's like a fisherman's hut, right? Kind of like that. Yeah. They're flat on the ground and looks like a shed in the backyard of somebody's house. You go inside, and they're like, this one had a secret door that went back into this room that had like a little bar with a bench and a little roulette wheel. You could during break they'd get together and have beers and play roulette in the back of this one guy's. And so I mean they were all so different, and they're very creative minds. Those people that work on those movies. Super creative, right? So their huts were like one-upping each other, right? Getting more and more detailed. And, it was whatever you wanted it to be. And so anyhow, that was fascinating to me. I'd love to be able to take you there, right? To help you really see what I saw. But they give them that freedom, right?
Yeah.
So that their workplace is fun and enjoyable, and it's theirs, right? It's their creation. So that was pretty neat to see.
I would have never guessed it was that elaborate.
Yeah.
But I guess for like a creative space, it makes sense.
I remember going in there and reading my lines, and there were only a couple, right? I had like 3 or 4 lines. And I was trying my ass off so hard because I wanted to get more work. Darryl Waltrip, has a lot of lines in this movie. And I'm like, I didn't know how many lines he had till it comes out. And I knew Richard Petty had a pretty big role, Humpy Wheeler and a couple other people. And I'm like, man, if I do this really good and they have another Cars 2, maybe I can get asked to be a more prominent role, but it didn't happen.
Dang.
Yeah.
We'll have to get a new Cars movie out to get you go back.
Yeah.
I got a question. How long did that take, the lines that you had? How long did you?
15 minutes.
That was it?
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I would have guessed, and they probably did. Like they would have you read it multiple times.
Yeah,
hour.
You know,
Yeah. No, it
Just to get it right.
It's like 3 or 4 takes.
Yeah.
But I mean, literally, I got like 3 lines maybe in the whole thing.
You kind of touched on, your daughter can identify like the 8 and 88 die-cast, like 2 iconic numbers. This question comes from Ryan. It wasn't always going to be 88. Like there was 51, there was 81, 38. So like where did the origin of the 88 number come from?
Well, so when I was moving over to Hendrick, I was working with a friend of mine, Kevin King. He's a sim racer buddy of mine, and he also designs, designs cars in sim racing. He's also designed cars in NASCAR. The Reese's car that Kevin Harvick drove at RCR was Kevin King's design. And so, anyhow, Kevin has done some cars, or had done some cars for me when I raced for the Budweiser number 8. And anyways, I was like, man, you're going to help me design this car. When I go to Hendrick and drive their race car, the Mountain Dew car, you're going to design. I want it to be yours, and you're going to help me. And he knew what I liked. I liked it kind of simple. I liked some nostalgia or some throwback feel to it. And anyways, we were I was getting him to do these designs, and we didn't have a choice on a number. I couldn't be 8. We weren't going to be able to purchase it from Teresa. They wanted to keep it. They had equity in that number at DEI. It was important for them to continue racing it, which was really, I would have done the same thing. I would have loved to have had it, but I could understand them wanting to hang on to it because it helped them acquire partners and sponsors, and the car had some identity. So I'm thinking, well, for my fans, man, I mean, a lot of these people have this number tattooed on their body. What am I going to do? I knew in the back of my mind that the best thing for me would probably would be to drive something with an 8 in it, right? Whether that's 38, which I didn't love. My sister ran that number in her late model career. 81 was okay. I had ran that number some in my Busch car a few times, but it wasn't a cool number. My favorite number that's not 3 and 8 or 88 now, my favorite numbers were like numbers that felt masculine. 51, 47, 55, 57. I don't know. For me, those numbers are those numbers have,
like a feel to it.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah.
Mike's
they do.
Like,
but the number 50.
A1.
Yeah. The number 50, right, is it's perfect for a guy like AJ Foyt, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so and AJ ran that number a time or two. 51, like I say. And so we were looking at 51. I wanted 51. No one else in my camp, and Rick or anybody else wanted 51. They were like, 51? What? That's nothing. Why? What's the connection, right? And I was like, I don't know, man. We just start new and just. But then I kept thinking about our fans that love this 8 and had all this 8 stuff, and I'm like, man, we gotta go with something with an 8, and that was everybody else's opinion too. So I was thinking 28. 28's it. I wanted 28. We're gonna get 28. We're gonna be 28. Nobody's 28. Let's be 28.
Holy crap, I did not know this.
Yeah. And they were like, well, we got to ask Yates.
Yeah.
I'm like, we do?
Of course.
Why? I don't need to ask nobody. And so we called Yates up, Robert, and they actually talked to Texaco. And Texaco said hard no. Now, I don't think that they had rights to this number in the series, right? They're not even the sponsor anymore. But something about the history and the heritage and legacy of that number was important to them. And Yates was like, man, please don't do this. I don't believe they could have stopped us, but they were like, hey, what about 88? We would give you 88. And I'm like, oh, we didn't even know that was available. We didn't know that was even a possibility. And so, they were like, hey, you can have 88. And I'm thinking, that's perfect. Instead of 1/8, 2/8. And we got the font as close as we could without getting another lawsuit. And there you have it. We went to the racetrack with 88s.
That is a heck of a story, actually.
It is.
Who would have thought that 88 would be more available than the 28?
Yeah.
I mean, because like the 88 was a Dale Jarrett. Like, you knew it was Dale Jarrett.
Yeah.
At the time, I think Roush had the 30. What was the Roush? 38 and 88?
Ooh, that was before my time.
Yates was 38.
Or Yates?
Yates.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were 38 with Elliott Sadler.
Right.
Yeah, why did
I think
that is
Ricky
so
Rudd was
baffling to me
Yeah.
that the Texaco Haviland.
They told me they had discussed it with they reached out to the partners that were part of that legacy with that team, right? And they all agreed, like, we really would love to not see this number come back. But will you take the 88? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
There's a lot of things that surprise me about that story. I am a little shocked that the Hendrick people weren't more receptive to 51.
51, yeah.
Because that 5
Yeah.
is iconic with Hendrick, so you could play off that font.
I wish
and all
now
stuff.
that I had tried that argument, tried that angle, Mike.
And 51 was a bit of a Days of Thunder
Yeah,
number.
it was.
I wonder if, and Rick was obviously the centerpiece of that whole Days of Thunder thing, but then I wonder if it was because Kyle Busch is.
I don't think Kyle was using it at that moment.
Oh, wow. Dude, that is a great story.
Yeah.
And I got so many more questions.
Yeah, and even just like to 51, thinking, like, knowing how history played out, just trying to picture you racing in a 51 for all those years, like, it's
It would've
crazy
been
to wrap your
strange.
mind around.
Yeah. I mean, you get used to things, and I think, 88 was fine. 88 ended up being great. 28 would have been cool, though, man, because, 28, my favorite design and paint scheme is the Gray Ghost right here on the table.
Yeah.
Imagine the throwback we could have done with that damn thing. I'd have been trying to get them to let me run that every week, every damn week.
That would have been cool. You mentioned, and we had another fan a few weeks ago submit this question, that fans getting tattoos of, 8s and now 88s. Is there a specific, like, fan tattoo that that sticks out in your mind of, like, oh my God, someone got this?
There's a lady that's a massive fan that's been around. I've seen her at the races for a couple decades that has a number 3 car on one thigh and the number 8 on the other.
She's in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Yep.
She does come to New Hampshire.
Yep.
She's those are serious commitments, right? To have those, and you appreciate it, right?
Yeah.
That it means that much. Especially the senior stuff, right? The dad stuff. So that's probably, and she'll love to know if this ever gets back to her. She's going to be so happy because she's a massive fan.
These are not small tattoos. These are massive tattoos on each leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and I think
so
she's got a
cool.
big one like on her back. It's like your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
That is neat. Yeah. Well, hopefully she sees this video, or is at New Hampshire this weekend.
Yeah, she might
Maybe
be.
she is.
Maybe we'll
Maybe
see her.
she's there.
Yeah.
This next question coming from Jimbo. With you and Jeff starting down on the track at the beginning of the race, what does the choreography look like in terms of
Oh, that's a great question.
calling the race from pit road and then getting up to the booth?
I'm glad you're
what's the
telling this.
coordination?
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you.
We were
we talked.
Talk about it because we were talking about this yesterday in my office.
My
This is
bosses
great.
are going to get mad at me.
Maybe not everything. You
Yeah.
want to say.
So when we sat down this year to start talking about, with all of NBC gets at a table, big giant table, bigger than this, and we sit down and everybody's just kind of throwing ideas around. They were like, we want to rethink the open of the show. We want to rethink it, get a little more creative. It had become a little predictable, right? And so I love it. I love that idea of, and I always go nostalgic. I don't start thinking more innovative. I go, okay, what did I love about the opening of the Daytona 500 in 1983? Right? They used to put this camera right on the asphalt in between the cars. They'd have the cars lined up down pit road, and as the cars fired up and pulled away, they had a shot of the cars driving by you. And the camera's sitting in between the inside and outside line of cars. And as the cars are driving by, they're doing the lineup. Row 2, there goes row 2. Row 3, this driver and this driver. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, man, this is the stuff I want to bring back, right? doing the lineup for me. I'm getting out of bounds a little bit, but doing the grid, the starting grid should be it should have this killer Knight Rider music in the background, and dun, 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 row one. It ought to be something, right? And so I've always wanted that to come back. If you want to get an idea of what I'm talking about, watch any of the Daytona 500 broadcasts from the early 80s. And so anyways, they were like, yeah, we want, they always had us at the front of the grid, right? For all of last year, for the Countdown to Green show, we're gonna do a segment at the front of the grid. Me and Jeff gonna interview a driver, whatever. And for this year, they said our pre-race shows are gonna shorten, and with an effort to try to always have a post-race show. And anyways, I know that's a little sensitive subject for this particular weekend because we didn't have one, but anyways, there's an effort for us to really lean into a post-race show more, providing fans with those interviews that they want from the drivers after the race. And we're going to shorten up the pre-race because, honestly, man, it is a lot of good information, but it does get a little redundant when the pre-race show is an hour. And really, honestly, man, we'd love just to come on TV and be like, we're freaking here. Here's the lineup, green flag. The show is on, and not a lot of fluff at the beginning, right? And so anyhow, getting to the answer to this question, we're talking about all these ideas, and they're like, we want to have y'all down there for the pre-race, and it's going to be a shorter show, so maybe you're going to be down there for a few laps of the race. The walk and talk that we did at Nashville and at Atlanta, I love. And we're going to do it differently. There'll be, the tracks will provide opportunities for us to be in different places. We might not be next to the grid. We might be out on the start-finish line. We might be standing in a damn flag stand. Who knows, right? We might be in a corner that's really important to that particular race or something that's really challenging. Who knows where we'll be? But I like the walk and talk. And if we're in the right place, it puts me in the right place emotionally. I'm fired up. And the excitement and energy that I have in the walk and talk is genuine, and it sets the tone for me to be excited about this moment in the race that's about to start. When we're done with that, we move over behind pit wall. There might be another hit or two where we're talking about something else, but after that walk and talk and the engines are fired and the cars are about to pull away, we move over to the other side of pit wall, and we stand there, and there's a monitor. A person holding a monitor with the program on it, the race, what you're seeing at home. And we get behind one of the pit boxes and create a little bit of a sound barrier because the Cup cars have the left side exhaust, so it's a little louder in the pits than it typically is in an Xfinity race. And so we get behind a pit box and watch a monitor and do a little radio style for the first 30 laps. Mm-hmm. That part is not as fun for me. I don't enjoy that part as much. And I don't know. It's a balance. We got to figure out how to get it right. To me, that can be better. To me, I am not doing my best work in that scenario. It's just I don't have the tools. When I'm in the booth, I can call a race a lot better. When I've got everything in front of me, I got the race out the window, which I can watch. I got the monitors, timing and scoring and all of that, and my notes. And I can do the job as well as I can do it in that space. When we're down on pit road doing radio style, radio style for me belongs at Watkins Glen.
Right. Yeah.
It's that's radio style, and that's where that belongs. We haven't really, and we're not stuck with we're not like stuck with we're going to keep doing it this way. Talking to my bosses, I'm like, is that as good as it needs to? Is that as good as it can be? And I don't know that we all think it is. So there'll be some adjustment there and a balance to find. And that could change and alter, which is fine. It should change and alter. It should be different. The walk and talk will change a lot. It's not going to be the same walk and talk. This guy and this guy and this guy. He's going to be good. He'll be good. He'll be good. see you after this commercial for a green flag. You know, we got to keep it new, but it's fun, it's real. Me and Jeff are both excited to be in that space, excited to be where we are, excited to be teeing this race up. I really, really enjoy doing that. It's definitely a nice twist on what we did last year. Last year, we stood at the front of the grid. We'd interview people or just talk about what we thought was getting ready to happen. This is much funner.
Yeah, I like that you guys are playing around, experimenting with different things. You know, not locked in a box.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting the wrap-up signal.
Yeah.
But, hey, we got some great stories. I feel like we went on like a cruise of like different avenues,
it was good.
you know. But we've got a lot of good fan questions to just keep in the memory bank for the next
Awesome.
couple of weeks.
They've been doing great. I want to say the questions y'all sent in this year, they're better than what we've had over the last several years. Andrew, you've been doing an amazing job. I want to thank you. All the Dirty Mo team that's been digging into all of the questions that are being sent to Xfinity Racing. This segment has improved, and we've been able to tell some cool stories, but it's because of the great questions we're getting. So thank y'all. And if you haven't checked out Becoming Earnhardt, it dropped Wednesday. Make sure that you check out that first episode of Becoming Earnhardt, a new series here from Dirty Mo Media.
We are out.